Welcome to Haaretz.com. I'm Aimee Amiga and I'm here with US correspondent Chemi Shalev, who joins us from New York. Thank you for being with us, Chemi.
Hi, Amy. Good to be here.
In his address to the United Nations, Netanyahu likened Iran to the Islamic State group, whereas Obama tries to keep these two threats as being very separate. Do you think this was an indirect attack on the Obama administration for being too soft on Iran in its nuclear negotiations?
I don't think there's any hiding the fact that Israelis and Netanyahu, first and foremost, are worried that the United States is soft in the sense that it may be willing to allow Iran to retain a nuclear capability that Israel thinks is dangerous. And Netanyahu has been making that point repeatedly in America. And I also think that what Netanyahu is trying to say is that America should not believe suddenly that ISIS is a greater danger than Iran, and that, in fact, the opposite is true. So in a way, you could call this an indirect dig at the American administration, yes.
Okay, well, what about the Palestinian president? In Abbas's speech at the United Nations, he accused Israel of genocide, and then Netanyahu replied by saying that the Palestinian president was responsible for Hamas war crimes. Are we witnessing a new low in Israeli-Palestinian relations?
I don't think it's a new low because, over the years we've had outright war between the sides. We have Arafat at the Muqatta, and relations between Netanyahu and Abbas have never been good. What I think we are seeing is a sort of reaction to two events. One is the Gaza war in the summer, and two is the fight against ISIS. Abbas found himself needing to react to the carnage in Gaza, and he found himself needing to, behave like someone who now heads a government that is soon to include Hamas. And I think also that he was clamoring for attention because he thought that he would be coming here as the main actor after the Gaza war in the summer, but he's been shunted to the side because of ISIS. And I think he wanted to grab some headlines, which he did. And of course, this caused a chain reaction in Israeli public opinion, and Netanyahu was reacting in kind. I think we should separate the rhetorics from what's going to happen on the ground, and I'm not sure that the actual relations between the two sides are as bad as their rhetoric seems to imply.
What about Netanyahu? Do you think he was also clamoring for attention? After all, the United Nations famously dislikes Israel. Do you think that the world is sick of hearing what Netanyahu has to say?
I don't know if sick is, that's a strong word. I think that the world has given up expecting Netanyahu to say something that it will like. I think there were high expectations throughout Netanyahu's tenure since he was elected for the first time in 2009, that this time he would, contrary to his first time in office, he would prove to be a peacemaker or somebody who had the courage to go forward. And I think that after John Kerry's latest efforts collapsed, I think most people have sort of given up on that hope. So if there is no fighting in Gaza and if the situation is stable, I think most of the world, including American public opinion, is sort of not all that interested in what Netanyahu has to say, especially since Israel is not in the spotlight, even in the Middle East, because of the fighting against ISIS that Obama and America are now involved in.
Do you think Netanyahu feels the pressure that he's no longer getting the attention that he wants?
Well, I'm not sure. Netanyahu, like many other politicians, I think in this case, the most important thing for him is whether his base is listening to him and agreeing with him. And when I say his base, I mean his voters in Israel, as well as his ideological base, let's say, in the right wing in America. I think that was the prime audience of his speech and of his appearances here. I'm not sure that Netanyahu is aware, or at least that he agrees with me, about how many people are listening to him or not. I suspect that he thinks he has a slightly higher audience here than I tend to ascribe to him.
Do you think his base was happy with what they saw at the United Nations?
I think most of the people in Israel and especially the right wing in America were quite happy, yes. The right wing in America, if I can talk about them for a minute, by virtue of the fact that Netanyahu has not been getting along with Obama, Netanyahu has become their hero. And also, in many cases, Netanyahu is the kind of clear-cut ideological spokesman that a lot of people in the Republican Party and in the conservative wing of American politics feel that they don't have. And so in a way, Netanyahu also fulfills a role in internal American politics from that point of view.
Both in America and in Israel. Thank you very much for joining us, Chemi Shalev.
Thank you.
I'm Aimee Amiga and you're on Haaretz.com.